American Civil War, April 12, 1861 to April 9, 1865. Convinced that white supremacy and slavery were threatened by the November of 1860 election of Republican candidate Abraham Lincoln to the U.S. presidency on a platform which opposed the expansion of slavery into Western territories, the Confederacy declared its secession from the United States. Lincoln's election thus served as the main catalyst of the American Civil War. This election resulted in the first Republican president being elected. The United States had become increasingly sectionally divided during the 1850s, primarily over extending slavery into the Western territories. The Battle of Fort Sumter was the bombardment of the fort near Charleston, South Carolina by South Carolina militia, and return gunfire by subsequent surrender by the United States Army that started the American Civil War. The militia had 500 to 6,000 troops, while the Union only had 85. The First Battle of Bull Run was the first major battle of the American Civil War. The battle was fought on July 21, 1861, in Prince William County, Virginia, just north of the city of Manassas and about 30 miles west-southwest of Washington, D.C. D.C., the Union's forces were slowly positioning themselves, allowing Confederate reinforcements time to arrive by rail. Each side had about 18,000 poorly trained and poorly led troops in their first battle. It was Confederate victory, followed by a disorganized retreat of the Union forces. The South loses one of the boldest generals on May 10, 1863, when 39-year-old Thomas J. Stonewall Jackson dies of pneumonia a week after his own troops accidentally fired on him during the Battle of Chancellorsville in Virginia. The Battle of Gettysburg was fought July 1st through 3rd, 1863, in and around the town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania. In the battle, Union Major General George Meade's Army of the Potomac defeated attacks by Confederate General Robert E. Lee's Army of Northern Virginia, halting Lee's invasion of the North. The battle evolved into the largest number of casualties of the entire war and is often described as the war's turning point due to the Union's decisive victory and the concurrence with the Siege of Vicksburg. Confederate General Robert E. Lee surrendered his army to the Union General Ulysses S. Grant, precipitating the capitulation of other Confederate forces and leading to the end of the bloodiest conflict in American history. On April 14, 1865, Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, was assassinated by well-known stage actor John Wilkes Booth while attending the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. Shot in the head as he watched the play, Lincoln died the following day at 7:22 a.m. in the Peterson House opposite of the theater. He was the first U.S. president to be assassinated, with the funeral and burial marking an extended period of national mourning. Before dawn on April 26, 1865, the soldiers caught up with the fugitives who were hiding in Garrett's tobacco barn. David Harold surrendered, but Booth refused to Conger's demands to surrendering, saying, "I prefer to come out and fight." The soldiers then set the barn on fire. As Booth moved around inside the blazing barn, Sergeant Boston Corbett shot him, killing him. The Battle of Palmito Ranch is considered by some criteria as the final battle of the American Civil War. It was fought May 12th and 13th, 1865, on the banks of the Rio Grande east of Brownsville, Texas, and a few miles of the seaport of Los Brazos de Santiago at the southern tip of Texas. It was a Confederate victory. The Union had 2,200,000 troops. Out of them, 365,000 plus died, 282,000 plus were wounded, and 181,193 were captured. The Confederates had 1 million troops. Out of them, 290,000 died, 137,000 plus were wounded, and 436,658 were captured. 1,050,000 free civilians died, and 80,000 slaves died as a result of the war.